the early 1990s, I was a 17-year-old teenager and heavily into the gothic scene. We would listen to Marilyn Manson, smoke clove cigarettes, wore heavy makeup, and our clothes were always black. I even had a cane with a demonic skull on top. In typical goth fashion, we continuously indulged ourselves in things that other people felt were creepy and weird. One of those creepy things we did was hang out at Franklin Cemetery out of town late at night. Then one hot summer night in 1993, my life completely changed. My living situation was, shall we say, unique. Mother was a single mom and I was her only child, and she did what was necessary to make it work. If I maintained a 3.0 grade point average or above and stayed off of drugs, which I did, Mom agreed she would not ride my ass about my clothes and late night adventures. We had an arrangement that was satisfactory for both parties involved. I could do almost whatever I wanted, and I did. For me, it was typical to come home at 3 a.m. or not at all. One of my closest goth friends, Lorna, called and wanted to hang out at the cemetery. I was bored out of my mind and dying to get out of my mom's house for a bit. Mom worked very late at the parking garage, and being home alone in that tiny apartment drove me insane. I gave Lorna an emphatic yes, and she picked me up around 9 p.m. this night. Lorna drove me to the usual spot, Franklin Cemetery, about 20 minutes out of town. We killed the headlights and parked in our usual spot under the oak tree. It was illegal to be in the cemetery at night, so we had to keep a low profile. We leaned against the Talbot tomb, sitting there smoking clove cigarettes and bullshitting about the usual teen stuff. Let's see if I can remember. We hated jocks, popular girls, people who were posers, organized government, war, and George Bush Sr. We even spoke with a slight British accent, which was ridiculous since we were born and raised in the American South. After about an hour or so, we noticed something unusual. About 100 feet up on the ridge and across the access road, somebody started a big bonfire. It was now almost midnight, and it was quite strange to start a fire that size this late. We both figured it must be some college kids or something having a party. In any event, we had to go because the fire might draw attention to us being there. We weren't about to get busted for trespassing. We put out our smokes and went to the car. Just then Lorna, who was far more adventurous than me, said, "Hey, let's go check it out. There might be some cool people up there. If it's lame, we'll just bail." Not wanting to look like a wussy, I agreed. She got the car started and rolled down the window so we could hear if it was a party or not. She drove through a small field and saw what looked like to be the access road that led up to the ledge where the fire was. As we wound our way up the small hill, our senses were slammed with an unearthly, horrible smell. "Oh God, what the fuck is that smell? Jesus, that's so bad," I said. Lorna dry gagged once or twice. Still, we drove closer to the bonfire. We were only about 20 feet away and stopped. We didn't see any college kids, but what happened next scared the goth right out of me. A large man came out of nowhere and just stood in front of the car, his legs spread slightly apart and his arms spread out in a very imposing stance. His entire body was silhouetted by the large bonfire. It was right out of a cliché horror film. Lorna, who always acted fearless, lost her shit and screamed so loud I thought the windows would shatter. She slammed the little Honda Civic in reverse and floored it out of there. I screamed, "Go, go, 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 go!" She slung around my seat and was driving backwards down the hill very fast. It was a miracle she stayed on the road. At the base of the road, she slammed the wheel left to get facing forward, and the car did a 180 in the loose gravel. The rear bumper smashed into some refuse cans and sent them flying. She slammed the car into drive and floored it out of there. As we drove out, we were saying, "Oh my God, what the hell was that?" We were scared to death, but after about 10 minutes or so, we kind of started laughing it off. We went to Denny's for coffee and fries and joked about how scared we were. Finally, I went home about 5 a.m. I crawled out of bed about noon on Sunday morning and shuffled my way to the kitchen to get some cereal. My mom was at the kitchen table, and we exchanged the usual half-hearted "morning." Mom was drinking her morning coffee, and I joined her with my bowl of Lucky Charms. She asked me if I had a rough night, and I said, the usual. She complained about her job for a bit, then said, did you hear what happened last night? I shrugged, no, in a gesture as I chomped my cereal. She continued, well, a woman I work with at the parking garage was kidnapped. Holy shit, Mom, did they find her? I said, shocked. Yes, but it was too late. Whoever took her, raped her, killed her, dismembered her, and tried to dispose of her body in a fire up at Franklin Cemetery off of Davis Road. My stomach turned, and a cold shiver went through my body. Are you okay, honey? Mom said. I was there. I smelled the body in the fire. I told my mom everything, and we made a statement to the police. Needless to say, on that day, I stopped thinking death and morbid events were cool. I gave up the goth scene entirely, and never hung out in that cemetery again. My relationship with Lorna just changed. We rarely spoke after that.